This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.
Hello and welcome back to the Daily Saints Pod. My name is Greg, and as always today joined by my good friend and wonderful co-host, Zach. And, mate, as if one game against Leicester this week wasn't enough to spill joy over all of us, we get to preview another one. Can you believe it?
I don't know how you'd feel as Leicester fans that have like pre-booked your travel and your tickets to come down to Gaff after getting our best comeback victory of all time. And again, I'm sure the teams will be heavily rotated, but in Leicester's case, it's going to be difficult because they already had a 17-year-old playing, right? The other day, I don't know how much rotation that squad's got left in them. But also perfect opportunity for us to go, let's take our foot off the gas, assume we're going to win again and get beaten. And I don't know if we'd be that bothered because it's the FA Cup, but also like you've seen it before when we've been like knocked out of a cup and then gone on a little run, or we've got internationals and all of the international teams lost and we come back and we suck after an international break. So it's just making sure that we carry on, I guess.
Yeah, it's a tricky balance to strike, isn't it? Because we're all very aware that now getting to the point that we're at where playoffs is now the most viable it's been, as we discussed yesterday. You strike the balance. Momentum is clearly an important part of keeping the run going, but an extra game off the back of winning might not do us any favours. So, do you take I'm not saying go out and deliberately throw the game, but how much do you rotate accepting that a loss might be the case? I don't know. I don't know if there's a right answer to that question. I suspect that you could ask 200 Saints fans and get 200 different answers. Is where I've landed it, mate. Because the reality is probably somewhere smack bang in the middle, right? I'm sure that we will see quite a bit of rotation, but still be fielding a team that probably should put Leicester away in especially after that performance in the week, right?
Yeah, we should, and it really depends if you want to keep momentum going or you want to give again some of the key players a bit of a respite because they probably need it. I'm not going to lie, we've already started to see sort of people slow down a little bit, and Leo did 90 minutes the other day, but was clearly fagging the game before, and yeah, it's just I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with rotation. And I think it's the perfect opportunity potentially for some other players to get some time in. As much as we, say mugged off, you were quite more defensive than I was. As much as I mugged off Archie the other day, it might be an opportunity for him to continue to get minutes and, maybe see a bit of action in the cup run.
I think it's the only way to, in a lot of people's opinions, what he put out on Tuesday, as a plan B option for the rest of the season, wasn't good enough to cut the mustard, and that's fine. The only opportunity you're going to get to put that right is immediately, right? It's this now. This is the opportunity to rotate him in, play him, and get his confidence back to that point and show what he can do. Otherwise, he's not going to inspire confidence in that role for the entire rest of this run where it becomes important. And, that's fine, right? We've got Larin, we've got Stewart, but between them, can they manage 90 minutes of all of the rest of the games? I don't know. I don't know is the real answer.
No, and it's
there's a lot of games left.
It's not. We don't have emergency loans the same way that we do strikers, etc. Do we? So that will be an issue for sure. And if he does, for example, not cut it, and with them relying on two, that's when maybe you look to the under-21s to promote, and maybe you give potentially Jay Robinson a shot there. I think originally that's what his role was.
Yeah, or Kenley, right? Like he's been floating in and about, or thereabouts with the first team.
But
and if you're basing it purely off of Tuesday's performance for Cam Archer, and realistically, most of the times we've seen him in a Saints shirt this season, admittedly, at no point has that really been in a way that plays to his strengths, or in a way where he has been able to string enough minutes together to build any confidence or momentum of his own. But you'd sort of take that as a whole up to this point. In a lot of people's opinions, that's bringing in the guy who's scoring goals for fun in the under-21s is probably the preferable option.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to anyway, was that if we get to that point, then we will have to find a solution. But again, it's not a game that's going to require that. This is a game that you can test around and have a look at who's in the background, and if those people in the background can participate a little bit more and what they offer. I think it's because of the fact that it's not that we don't care. I just think that we've got a game that gives us a little bit more freedom and is a little bit less pressure, right? We might see George Long out for the first time potentially, and it's not really like a thing we're intending to keep forever. Probably, I don't think he'll be signed at the end of the season or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the problem is like, you're going to have to give him a bit more exposure and game time if you want to have a plan B from him, because clearly what he's shown is that the league currently doesn't have the confidence to do it. And, what better way of treating it than getting right back on the horse in a game that I think most people will not be devastated, as you pointed out, if we lose. But then, as always, whenever we discuss cup matches, there's always the argument that you want to keep momentum and keep some of the better players in the team. And I have argued that our last couple of cup games, and every single time, it's been really, really heavily rotated, despite the fact they said it wouldn't be. And that's why we haven't seen a press conference yet. Don't know if we'll get one. And I won't believe a single thing they say about team news either way, because it's not going to be what we expect. So, yeah, I hope that if they're going to do any tinkering or trying to see how people are or who's up to fitness, I hope that they do it in this game. And, if we lose it, so be it. But I think it's an opportunity either way, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting, but I'll tell you what it does mean, mate, is that this segment that's normally, at this point, a bit of a struggle for us, where we predict the team lineup, suddenly become probably the most interesting and varied part of the show, right? So, do you think George Long gets the shout in goal, or do you think we just stick with Peretz?
I think it was, I don't know if it was last game or the game before, he had a bit of treatment, right? I think it was last game. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you're like, okay, well, there's no reason to bring him out. And again, it's like, what are the priorities of the FA Cup for the team, the board, where the team's at the moment? Probably not massively high up. So do you give him a chance? I guess, yeah. I don't think it would be the end of the world. I think, Leicester might end up not heavily rotating as much as I initially predicted, just because, it depends if they want a little bit of positivity, and this seems to be one of the places they might be able to get it, especially after, they lost to us 3-0 last time and then we humiliated them on Sunday. You're going to want, I guess, to put out a stronger team to be able to try to bring something from it. But I'd expect him to get the nod now that he's been deputised and we brought a third choice in. And yeah, just give Peretz a break, man.
Yeah, no, I'm there for it. That's fine.
Let him rest out those mistakes, right? That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's hard to tell with goalkeepers in particular if they're going to be one of these players who just don't want to miss a game and want to keep the momentum, or if really just needs to rest up, save it, and go again in the league. It'd be interesting to see. What about the back line? Do we think that changing, knowing that there's going to be rotation in personnel, do you think we stick with this 4 at the back formation still and just swap the players in, or do you think that the rotation also brings the change of shape?
Well, if we're going to rotate round and we're going to be playing this system going forward, what would be the point of changing the formation and getting those players that are rotated used to a different way of us playing in the league? Because if we then if they end up having to come in because of injury or whatever, at least they'd have had a little bit of experience in that system, rather than bringing them into a system they've not really played. Yeah, they've trained in, but not had any match experience in. And like you'd like to point out, Greg, since the dawn of time, there have usually been 4 players at the back. This whole 3 at the back thing is a very sort of development over the last decade, right? Maybe a bit longer, but besides the point, no, of course we keep a 4 at the back because that's the formation we're running with most of the time. And that's the formation that any of the players would have to come in, will have to play. So, that's my opinion on it anyway.
So, I mean, I'm going to throw 4 names out there as who I think will play, and you can criticise away. I think Yella, Wood, Quasi, Manning.
I agree with the 3 out of 4 of those. If Rorislev is back to fitness, considering he's not a lone player, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some time.
He was supposed to be seeing a specialist last week, right? And that doesn't scream match fit to me.
No, you're right. Seeing a specialist is usually you're out for the rest of the season. So I guess you're right. Probably Gillette. It probably won't be Bree. Or Bree might still have the bones in him and the fitness in him to carry on, to be fair. Maybe,
he's been such an important part of the positivity since he came back. Are you about
to say that we shouldn't waste him in an FA Cup game?
Genuinely, yeah. 100%.
Interesting. Okay.
But also, he's such an important part of the positivity in the team as well that if he goes out, we're going to need someone else who can play in that position. So, yeah, I mean, if it's not that, Harwood Bellis has played basically every minute under Tonda, right? So Stevens is playing a lot. Wood and Quasi stepping up as a pairing, I think will be fine. I don't have concerns about that in a game like this. Wood was doing quite well before we found this more solid lineup that we've got as first choice, and I don't think we'll have any problem stepping into it.
No.
Quasi we've seen as being more than capable of holding his own, so it just makes sense to me. And Manning, is losing minutes at the moment because Wellington is performing that much better. So it just kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly. So yeah, pretty much a full rotated defence for us then, and a rotated goalkeeper. How about midfield? To carry on with the rotation, mate, do we see a Cam Bragg Romeu midfield?
I think it will be Cam Bragg and Shea Charles.
Yeah? Shea Charles to get his minutes back up because he's still trying to build up to fitness. Downs probably because he needs a break anyway. Yanda a bit of a wobble last game. And Romeu is maybe here, or did he disappear off the face of the earth? Who knows?
No, I think he's still here, but I don't know. I think it would be either Cam Bragg if he's fit and Shea Charles, or Shea Charles and Casper Yanda, because like you say, he didn't have a great game on Tuesday, and maybe getting back on the pitch and just getting that out of his system is what he needs. Or maybe what he needs is a rest. So I don't know. Depending on, Tonda, who sees him at the training ground, will hopefully have a better understanding of what of those two things he needs than me speculating. But I wouldn't be surprised to see any combination of those three. I wouldn't expect to see Flynn Downs included in the starting 11.
Fair enough. So I guess the attacking lineup's going to be a bit different as well, right?
Yeah.
So I've already suggested I probably think Archer will probably start again, just because of the fact that he's probably been promised more game time. He's going to have to be developed as a plan B, and if he doesn't sooner rather than later, he probably will eventually be swapped out for someone younger. So what do you reckon? Jay, Matsuki, Archer,
and probably Azaz still, I think.
Probably Azaz still?
I think he's going to... I'm trying to phrase this in a way.
Are you going to try and say that he's not going to be as tired as the rest of them because he doesn't run as much?
Yeah. That's what I'm getting at.
You don't want to say that in a way that's like calling him lazy, because that seems to be,
his game is less of that, right?
It's not a run game. We're aware of this. That's why Cienza's there. That's why Cienza looks clear doing it, even though he scored less goals.
Magical to me is a player that has an absolute wonderful eye for a through ball pass through to a player who loves running in behind and off the shoulder of strikers. Like, it just makes sense, doesn't it? And
you're right.
If he wants to come out and make straight up 11 changes, then I don't know. I don't know who else we have.
Would you move Jay Robinson back into that position and then maybe put a Dozy out on the left?
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that being a starting lineup for sure.
Yeah. That would almost mean an entirely full rotation apart from Cameron Archer and maybe Shea Charles. Actually, even technically Shea Charles because he only came on later. So... That'd be kind of nuts, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But also
a rotated team, but it still feels strong enough, right? Like,
it depends what the rotation that the Leicester puts in, right? Because, they did score 3 goals against us initially, and our subs very much changed the game.
Yeah, but I don't think that their headspace coming into this game could possibly be
worse.
That, right? It's not it's our game at home and we've got something to fight for after all of this nonsense going on in the background and a points deduction, and we're really gonna prove it and get it over the line and score 3 goals from 3 shots. Like, they've got to come to St Mary's, and I can't possibly imagine that St Mary's is going to be sold out for this, to be honest. Cup game, even though the prices are low, fans don't have as much of an interest in the cup, especially in championship years, because they know that the club aren't going to see it as important. So it's going to be difficult for them to come and get themselves properly fired up to kind of stick it to us, especially after losing the way they did in the week and with all of the other stuff. And, they'll be facing the same thing, right? Even if they're not as rotated of a team, we've talked about motivations and getting teams fired up as being a thing and a problem. Coming into this game, if nobody cares about it, which is, it's a silent truth, right? Like, if you're going to make...
How busy is the stadium going to be, do you reckon? Because that will be a big indicator. How many people do you reckon are going to show up? Because obviously you've already alluded to the fact that they have tried to kind of convince more fans to come to FA Cup games through, potentially bolting them onto season tickets, which, if you speak to a lot of non-football people, Greg, they assume that your season ticket covers FA Cup games anyway. And it's always a fascinating discussion to explain to them that no, that's just for these specific games, and also only half of the games, not really even half of the games. So
only the games played specifically in your stadium. There are quite a lot of tickets left available. At the time of recording on Thursday afternoon, there are lots of tickets available. Yeah, you're not going to struggle to walk up and buy a ticket. There are hundreds of tickets available in every block of the Northern Stand.
There you go.
It's going to be a quiet one. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just going to be... I don't think it's going to be a very good quality game, because I don't think either team is really going to have the ability to properly fire themselves up for it. Arguably, if we play a squad that is that rotated, it might actually give us the best chance of firing ourselves up like that, because at least all of those players have something to fight for and something to prove, because they'll be playing to fight their way into the first team. Right, like Matchday, for example, that made a huge difference when he came on.
Played really well.
And so if he backs that up and starts tomorrow and carries on with that, it makes a really tough decision between him and Fellows, who did not have a great game Tuesday in the first half. So, that's the hope of that's what will fire them up and kick them on if that's what they need. But I don't see it being a particularly high quality game either way, to be honest. How about you?
No, I'm kind of with you. The only other thing that I would point out, I don't want to be too reign of superiority, because we were down at half time. And that's a fact. Like, yeah, okay, cool. We managed to come back and win 4-3. Incredible comeback win. But that first half, pretty sure people were calling for Tonda's head at that point. Leicester did, okay, it was some of their... Potentially you could put it down to some mistakes and whatever. But what I don't want us to do is start...
We literally played them in and held triangle on FIFA with Peretz. Right? Like one of the goals was literally a gift, and all 3 of their goals were their 3 only shots on target.
But my point
is, we were poor, but the scoreline flatters them, right?
My point is that still happened, right? And it can always happen again. And what we should not do is go in there going, we can beat it with any team we shove out. Because then you'll be like that guy that got replied to by our admin who was like, #we want 9. And, who just our admin replied with,
I don't think that that's what I'm saying.
No.
I think that any team that we stick out against them this weekend will be good enough because it doesn't matter, really. Right?
Okay.
One less game for the rest of the season probably helps our chances of doing better in the games we have got left.
But we're probably also still going to win.
Getting through and inevitably drawing Liverpool in the next round and having a long away day just to get knocked out. What's the point?
It's becoming some sort of an ongoing joke at this point that no matter what, in some sort of cup, we will always end up pulling Liverpool. And then,
it's always either Liverpool or Man City, except when it's Man City, we tend to inexplicably somehow beat them. Right?
You're right.
Mind floats back to Musa Gineppo accidentally lobbing the goal and us beating them 2-0 and in absolute shell shock.
You're right, we did stop.
By the way, the only thing that stopped them winning the quadruple that season being Nathan Jones. So
it's sure is. Yeah, it's hard to even get motivated necessarily to talk about it because we're just want to get back to the league action, right?
It's different, isn't it? If at this point we were worse off than we are and were properly down and out with no hope of playoffs, then it becomes a more important game because the momentum is more important and, maybe a cup run is good. Now that, running in with where we're at, the push is important. We've got to keep those playoffs in reach if we're going to do it, right? There's no dropping off that's going to get us there. So, adding another game into the mix probably doesn't help, especially if that game's, a big long away day or what. It's a shame. It's the shame of the cup, right? Because realistically, from an objective perspective, we're probably not winning the FA Cup this year. So, so if you're not going to win it all the way, what's the point?
I don't know, it just feels wrong. It feels wrong being so blasé about.
Yeah, I hate it.
Any game
I hate
play.
that. I hate that.
That's also the state that they've created with domestic cups for most teams, though. Now, right?
Yeah. But that's why it's more important for middle of the range Premier League teams, right? Because in the Championship, it's a much tighter league. And there's 7 points covering the ability to go up and the ability to go down, or something stupid like that. But whereas in the Premier League, you don't have that incentive, right? Sure, top 4 or top 7 for Europe is an incentive, but realistically, if you're sitting in that sort of 8 to 14 zone, suddenly the cup becomes much more important for you because it's your opportunity to do something. And for teams lower down the order than that, with other stuff to fight for, realistically, it just becomes a distraction. And honestly, we should think ourselves lucky that that's the position we've got ourselves to back to at this point. We've got something to play for the rest of the season, and so it's a distraction and not our only hope of winning something.
Yeah, you're right. Man, you've bombed me out. That usually 100% the other way around. I guess it will be what it will be, but I guess then switch it on its head, Greg. Who's gonna win? What's the scores gonna be for this exciting fixture that we're all really apparently excited and thrilled about?
Oh man, part of me really wanted to go full bum out and say 0-0 and lose on penalties, but I don't know if that's on the cards.
No, I'd rather thanks.
2-1 Saints.
Oh, we're conceding then, at least.
Yeah.
Interesting. I was thinking potentially 1-0. I could easily see just a really solitary goal at literally any point during the game, and then we just shut them out and close down the game, and we get a win. And then we're like, oh no, now we've got another cup battle to carry on where we potentially go to Liverpool again.
Both quite low scoring predictions for fixture that 4 days ago had 7 goals.
Yeah, because we've also explained that there's be a fully rotated squad, and there'll probably be rotation both sides. And I don't know, it's not like we're going to get a couple of players that are hot off the presses that are going to, storm out there and get a couple of goals. Because also, exactly what you pointed out is how many players are going to want to exert a significantly large amount of energy in a cup battle. And I know that that's not the case. I think if you progress in the competition, you start to actually ramp up, it becomes significantly more important, right? Sadly, like you said, middle of the table clubs. But like the current position of both us and Leicester in the league, us and Leicester with this competition is very much sort of going to be, I don't think is going to be a crazy goal scoring affair, because I don't think either team are going to want to go full throttle for the sake of it. Again, I could see a scenario where Leicester come at us really hard and really aggressive because they're trying to like make up for the other day, and then we just like pop a goal in, and then it just takes the wind out of their sails, and we don't decide to do anything more. That's kind of what I think will probably potentially happen. But yeah, so 2-1 for you and 1-0 for me. You're right. Between the two of us, less goals than the entirety of the game on Tuesday.
Do you know what, mate? The funny thing is that this is genuinely how I feel and think about the cup, but I'll still be watching it and willing us to win.
And then
I'll still sit on, I presume, Monday night, that's normally when the draw is, and sit and watch the draw with like excitement and anticipation, because football's done like that. Like, you can't... Yeah. It's hard to remove the objective right and wrong thing of what's important, what's to push, and the feeling of winning. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be an interesting one either way, I think. And I don't know. Look, let us know. Let us know in the comments on the socials how you're feeling about it. Are you feeling on the more optimistic side, or just don't care about it at all? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We are Daily Saints Pod everywhere. Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube. Hit us up. Let us know. We love hearing from you. And regardless of how the game plays out, we'll be back to talk about it Monday morning, bright and early. And we'll put it all right then, as we always do. But until then, Saints fans, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Zach, as ever, for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend with FA Cup fun. And until the next one, come on, you Saints.
This is the Daily Saints Pod with Zach and Greg.